Chapter 1 Summary. Dusk. The story begins with a peculiar scene during the morning assembly at Stardom Schools. Mr. Bepo Adewale, the principal, behaves unusually as he approaches the podium. Known for his confidence and energy, Bepo appears visibly troubled, avoiding eye contact with both students and staff. Despite multiple efforts, he struggles to speak and eventually bursts into tears, leaving everyone in attendance stunned. The vice principal, Mrs. Grace Apey, swiftly takes charge of the situation. She directs the staff to end the assembly and escorts the principal, accompanied by the school nurse, Mrs. Titi, to his office for support. Despite attempts to comfort him and understand his distress, Bepo remains inconsolable, offering no explanation for his emotional outburst. As the morning unfolds, word of the principal's breakdown circulates. Mrs. Apey contacts the managing director, MD, Mrs. Ibn Gloss, who arrives without delay. Reflecting on Bepo's years of commitment to the school, the MD ponders the sudden shift in his behavior. She emphasizes his pivotal role in the school's achievements and voices concerns about how his condition might affect the institution's standing. Meanwhile, Bepo murmurs disjointedly, occasionally uttering phrases like, "Alua gva mio," God, save me. Mrs. Gloss and the staff attempt to uncover the cause of his distress, but Bepo provides no clarity. The MD eventually enlists Mr. Wanda, a pastor and physics teacher, to counsel the principal. Wanda proposes reaching out to Bepo's wife, who resides in London, hinting at potential marital or emotional issues as the root of his turmoil. Despite their efforts to comfort him, Bepo remains deeply distressed. The MD decides to send him home under the supervision of the guidance counselor, Mrs. Beek Egbin, stressing the importance of professional intervention to address his mental well-being. The chapter concludes with the MD's resolve to keep the school focused on its educational mission while handling the situation discreetly to prevent unnecessary concern among parents and students. This chapter introduces the protagonist, Mr. Bepo Adewale, and lays the groundwork for exploring themes such as mental health, leadership, and the challenges of managing a prestigious school. It sets the novel's tone, blending humor and gravity, while also highlighting the relationships and dynamics among the staff at Stardom Schools. Chapter 2 Summary. The Enticement. After days of silence and emotional turmoil, Mr. Bepo finally opens up about his predicament. He is moving to the United Kingdom to reunite with his family. The decision weighs heavily on him. Bepo has a deep affection for Stardom Schools and his students, and he is passionate about contributing to Nigeria's educational progress. However, his wife, Sari, who is already relocated to the UK with their 2 children, Nike and Kike, insists that he join them. The separation has put a strain on their marriage, leaving Bepo with no option but to resign. Bepo reminisces about his 20 years of service at Stardom Schools, where he earned the nickname the Lekki Headmaster for his charm and knack for solving problems. His talent for resolving conflicts, even minor staff disagreements, won him widespread respect. Despite his dedication to the school, his colleagues find his hesitation to move abroad baffling. They humorously discuss the financial perks of relocating to the UK, pointing out the appealing salary of £3,600 per month compared to his current Nigerian earnings of 400,000 Nigerian nairas. Sari, a nurse, is said to be making over £10,000 monthly, underscoring the economic benefits of their move. While his colleagues tease him for his reluctance, Bepo reflects on his entrepreneurial dreams. He envisions starting a business in Nigeria after retiring at 55, with ideas ranging from farming to transportation. However, he is wary of the difficulties of running a business in Nigeria, especially after his previous failed attempt with a local school he co-founded. Despite these worries, Bepo feels the pressure of his family's expectations and the practical appeal of earning a higher income abroad. As a seasoned teacher with extensive experience, he is confident in his ability to adjust to a new environment. He finds motivation in stories of other Nigerian teachers succeeding overseas, even though he knows the transition will not be without its difficulties. This chapter delves into Bepo's inner conflict, exploring themes of family loyalty, professional commitment, and the temptation of better opportunities abroad. It also touches on societal issues like brain drain and the challenges of balancing personal ambitions with community responsibilities. Chapter 3 Summary: Migration Tales. In this chapter, Mr. Bepo reflects on the realities of moving abroad as he prepares to leave Nigeria. He considers the wage systems in developed countries, contrasting them with Nigeria's monthly salary structure. Bepo admires the flexibility of hourly or weekly pay in places like the United States and the United Kingdom, which allows workers to earn more by putting in extra hours. However, he also recognizes the high cost of living in these countries, including taxes, rent, and other expenses. Bepo hears stories of Nigerians making substantial incomes abroad. For instance, a Nigerian cab driver in the U.S. earns $500 daily, which amounts to nearly 800,000 Nigerian nairas when converted. While these figures are enticing, they often hide the reality of expenses in foreign currencies, leaving many migrants with little savings despite their high earnings. The chapter also sheds light on the desperation driving migration. Nurses, doctors, and other professionals leave Nigeria in droves, seeking better opportunities. Some sell their belongings or take out loans to finance their journeys, often leaving behind unpaid debts. Bepo recalls the case of Mr. Nko, who vanished after borrowing 2 million Nigerian nairas from Stardom Schools Cooperative Society. Another driver admitted to trying to sell a school bus to cover his son's college fees abroad. Sola, a former home economics teacher at Stardom, shares her migration story with Bepo. She describes the challenges of settling in the UK, such as borrowing money to rent their first apartment and the high cost of living. Despite these struggles, she praises the infrastructure and opportunities available, especially for education and healthcare. Sola recounts how her asthmatic daughter received exceptional emergency care during a health scare, an experience that left her profoundly grateful. However, not all migration stories are positive. The chapter includes accounts of Nigerians facing hardships abroad. Jair, a former banker, collapses under the pressure of caring for an elderly couple in London. Hope, an accountant, sees his marriage falter after moving to the UK as his wife stops providing financial support. The chapter ends with Bepo contemplating the mixed outcomes of migration. While many Nigerians find success abroad, others struggle to adapt to the demands of life in a foreign country. He realizes that migration, much like life, is a complex journey that requires careful planning and resilience. This chapter explores themes of migration, sacrifice, and the pursuit of a better life. It offers a balanced view of the opportunities and challenges faced by Nigerians moving abroad, making it relatable to students preparing for JAMB. Chapter 4 Summary: A Case of Visa Denied. The chapter opens with Mr. Bepo receiving a late-night call from Mrs. Ignatius, a parent at Stardom Schools. The call annoys him, as he feels she has crossed the line in their otherwise polite relationship. Mrs. Ignatius vents about her family's ongoing visa troubles, which she believes have been worsened by her husband's doubts regarding the paternity of their child, Favor, who attends Stardom. A year earlier, the Ignatius family had planned to move to London. Mr. Ignatius, a manager at an oil company, was initially hesitant but eventually agreed to the relocation for the sake of their children. However, during the visa process, a DNA test revealed that Favor was not his biological child. This revelation devastated the family, creating mistrust and complicating their plans. Mr. Ignatius's suspicions grew, and he began questioning Mrs. Ignatius's loyalty, further damaging their relationship. Mrs. Ignatius confides in Bepo, insisting she never betrayed her husband. Despite her claims, the embassy denied their visas, leaving the family in disarray. She worries about whether Favor knows the truth and expresses anxiety about their future. Bepo listens, but is distracted by his own impending move, longing to escape such dramatic situations at Stardom. Meanwhile, Bepo reflects on his time at Stardom, realizing that managing an elite school comes with its share of challenges. He observes that parents often have diverse personalities, ranging from cooperative to difficult. He dreams of writing a book about these experiences someday, believing his relocation to the UK will provide the time and space to reflect and write. The chapter concludes with a subplot involving Mrs. Ladille, an avid Nollywood fan. One evening, while watching a romantic film, she hears her daughter, Bibi, scream in terror. Bibi confesses she has been having nightmares about Mr. Isoro, her government teacher at Stardom, who is known for his prominent tribal marks. This leads to Bibi being reassigned to another house at school, but her fear persists. Eventually, Mr. Isoro is transferred to a different department within Stardom to resolve the issue. This chapter explores themes of family conflict, mistrust, and how unresolved issues can disrupt relocation plans. It also sheds light on the challenges school administrators face when dealing with sensitive matters involving students and parents. Chapter 5 Summary: Snake in the Roof. The chapter begins with Mrs. Ibiden Gloss, the managing director, MD, of Stardom Schools, seeking a moment of peace during a long break. Despite her composed exterior, she battles a chronic medical condition that has troubled her for over 30 years. After resting, she decides to inspect a piece of land the school purchased 2 years earlier, located near the back gate. Upon arrival, the MD is stunned to find the fenced-off land being used as a parking lot for about 17 vehicles. The variety and quality of the cars, including Toyotas, Hyundais, and buses, surprise her. The vehicles display Stardom School stickers, indicating they belong to staff members. Confused and angered, the MD questions how teachers, gardeners, and other staff could afford such expensive cars. The MD summons the principal, Mr. Bepo, and the school accountant, Jeremiah Amos, to investigate. She suspects financial misconduct within the school. The accountant explains that many staff members bought their cars through loans from the Stardom Cooperative Society, with repayments deducted directly from their salaries. Despite this explanation, the MD questions how the cooperative could afford to fund such costly purchases. Further investigation reveals that the cooperative's funds total 95 million Nigerian nairas, with over 50 million Nigerian nairas already loaned to staff members. Alarmed by this, the MD calls a meeting with the school's board of directors, all members of the Bepo family. Chief Mrs. Solate Bepo, the board chairman, compares the situation to hanging a snake in the roof and going to bed, expressing concern that staff might misuse the funds to start a competing school. To address the issue, the board decides to enforce stricter financial controls. They set a 250,000 Nigerian nairas limit on staff loans and require the MD's approval for all future loan requests. Additionally, the cooperative society must keep the management informed about its activities to prevent further risks. This chapter highlights themes of accountability, financial oversight, and the potential consequences of unchecked privileges. It emphasizes the importance of maintaining control and trust within an organization while addressing the challenges of balancing both. Chapter 6. Ade as well as G-Day, Comes vs. Come. Open Day at Stardom Schools is a significant event for parents to interact with the school and teachers, but it also becomes a platform for airing grievances. Mrs. Ibiden Gloss, the managing director, calls an urgent meeting involving a teacher, Mr. Fafor, after a parent, Mr. Gouda, reports what he believes to be a grammatical mistake in a note written by the teacher. Ade as well as G-Day comes early. The MD harshly reprimands Fafor, calling him incompetent and insisting that his dismissal is necessary to protect the school's reputation. However, Mr. Bepo comes to Fafor's defense, explaining that the phrase is grammatically correct when analyzed in context. To verify this, staff members research the rule and confirm that Fafor and Mr. Bepo are right. The MD realizes her mistake and feels embarrassed about her public outburst. Despite the incident, the staff laugh it off, with Mr. Adu adding humor to ease the tension. This chapter highlights the pressures educators face in maintaining high standards, as well as the misunderstandings that can arise from hasty judgments. Chapter 7 Summary: Ritualists. In this chapter, Bepo reflects on his time at Beesway Group of Schools, where his attention to detail and habit of correcting errors caused tension. He had pointed out the grammatical error in the school's name, which should have been Beesway Group of Schools instead of Group of School. However, his corrections were met with disdain by the director, Mr. E.G. Miko, who dismissed Bepo's concerns as insignificant. The director justified his refusal to make changes by claiming the school's name was divinely inspired and emphasizing its registration with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Despite Bepo's linguistic expertise, the director mocked his suggestions and misused terms like Englisher, further exposing his own lack of linguistic knowledge. Bepo eventually realized that continuing to push for corrections would only provoke hostility. Later in the chapter, Bepo witnesses a shocking and mysterious event late at night. From his room, he observes suspicious activity involving several men, including the director, performing what appears to be a ritualistic act, burying a live cow. Despite his fear, Bepo confronts the men, only to be met with aggression. The situation escalates as one of the men injures him, but the director intervenes and orders them to stop. The incident leaves Bepo deeply disturbed, raising questions about the director's true motives. The next day, Bepo considers reporting the event to the authorities but hesitates due to the potential financial and emotional costs of seeking justice. His dilemma reflects the complex interplay of morality, power, and survival. Towards the end of the chapter, Bepo recalls his early days in the education sector, including his attempt to establish a school called Fruitful Future with a colleague. Despite their noble intentions and innovative approaches, the school failed due to infrastructural challenges and a lack of support from the local government. This memory underscores the struggles educators face in a system riddled with corruption and neglect. The chapter concludes with a shocking twist. A news report implicates a familiar figure, Mr. Ogo, in a ritual murder. This revelation ties back to the mysterious burial at Beesway and deepens Bepo's disillusionment with the dark realities of the world around him. Chapter 8. Missions Unaccomplished. The chapter begins with an unresolved legal dispute between two families of Bepo's students, a matter still pending as Bepo prepares to leave Nigeria. Meanwhile, Stardom Schools launches a democratic process to elect new prefects. The management stresses the importance of nurturing leadership qualities early by introducing elections for various positions, including head boy, head girl, and other prefect roles. Intent forms are sold at different prices, with higher costs for more prestigious roles, ensuring only serious students apply. The screening process requires candidates to demonstrate academic excellence, moral integrity, and a debt-free status. Mrs. Ibn Gloss humorously comments, "If you want a debtor to lead fee payers, ask a tenant to lead the landlord." Aspirants must also deliver a 3-minute speech during their interview to showcase their communication skills. On speech day, the event takes a dramatic turn when Benki, an SSS2 student running for social prefect, insults his opponent Tosh by referencing his father's past imprisonment. Tosh reacts angrily and storms out, disrupting the event and drawing attention to a long-standing rivalry between their families. This feud stems from previous conflicts, including a PDA election and a dance competition. Tosh's father, Chief Didi Ogba, a former detainee acquitted of embezzlement, feels deeply offended by Benki's remarks. The Ogba family demands a public apology and legal action follows, further straining relations. Despite Bepo's efforts to mediate, the feud escalates, threatening the school's reputation. The chapter concludes with Bepo reflecting on his involvement in the school's Invention Club and its Breath Project, an initiative to create phones using recycled materials. He worries that his departure from Nigeria might hinder the project's progress, but hopes to see it succeed even from abroad. Chapter 9. Laughing Waterfalls. Stardom Schools demonstrated its commitment to providing students with diverse learning experiences by organizing excursions, retreats, and cultural programs. Over the past decade, the school had taken students and staff to remarkable sites, including historical locations like Badagry and the Whispering Palms Resort. These excursions combined education with leisure, offering students both exposure and enjoyment. Programs such as Children's Day, Mother's Day, and Teacher's Day featured concerts and lectures by notable experts. Mr. Bepo, the senior English teacher, advocated for frequent excursions, believing they helped students develop a deeper understanding of their country's heritage. His vision was to provide a holistic education that blended academics with cultural knowledge, especially as many students would eventually study abroad. Students visited famous Nigerian waterfalls, such as Ikegosi Warm Springs, Aranigesha waterfalls, and Owu waterfalls, each with unique historical and cultural significance. The school's excursions also included visits to the National Museum, Badagry's historical sites like the First Story Building and the Black Heritage Museum, where students learned about the transatlantic slave trade. Bepo reflected on how the slave trade dehumanized Africans, contrasting it with the modern-day slavery of Nigerians desperately migrating abroad for better opportunities. He lamented how the Japa migration trend mirrored the sacrifices and hardships of historical slavery. Despite occasional challenges, Stardom's excursions enriched the students, fostering a connection with Nigeria's history and inspiring cultural pride. Bepo's educational philosophy emphasized the importance of experiential learning as a way to broaden students' horizons and deepen their appreciation for their heritage. Chapter 10. Passport Pains. Bepo delays renewing his expired passport, initially dismissing its urgency as he had no immediate plans to relocate. However, growing pressure from his family eventually pushes him to take action. His attempts to renew the document in Lagos are met with overwhelming bureaucracy, corruption, and inefficiency, making the process incredibly frustrating. Bribery and middlemen dominate the system, with agents charging exorbitant fees to speed up the process. To avoid the chaos of Lagos, Bepo decides to process his passport in Ibadan, Oyo State. He contacts an agent named Tai, who promises a quicker process but demands additional fees. During the trip, Bepo reflects on the improvements along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and notices the rise of new religious and business establishments. Despite Tai's assistance, Bepo faces further setbacks due to issues with his national identity number, NIN, forcing him to endure more delays and frustrations at the NIN office. This chapter vividly illustrates the inefficiency of Nigeria's public service systems and the lengths citizens must go to navigate them. Bepo's experience underscores the emotional and financial toll of corruption and poor governance. Chapter 11. Point of No Return. Chapter 11 focuses on the heartfelt farewell organized for Mr. Bepo, marking his departure from Stardom Schools. A grand banner stretched across the school halls celebrated Bepo's immense contributions, titled "For He Gave Stardom His Very Best." This chapter delves into the emotional weight of saying goodbye and highlights the school's efforts to give him a memorable send-off. The farewell began with a novelty football match between the staff and students, filled with humor and drama. The referee, a teacher named Mr. Ike, ensured the match favored the staff by making questionable calls, adding comic relief to the tense occasion. The game ended in a lively atmosphere, with singing and clapping centered around Bepo. The second event was a debate themed Arts versus Sciences, which contributes more to national development. This debate showcased the students' intelligence and wit, with the arts team emphasizing the cultural and economic influence of Nollywood and music. The sciences team, on the other hand, highlighted the practical contributions of health and technology. The debate concluded with the arts team winning, reinforcing the school's commitment to nurturing well-rounded individuals. Friday's grand finale featured a cultural display by the drama club, including traditional dances such as Bata, Adalagwu, and Koroso. The canoe dance, symbolizing travelers on a river, left a lasting impression on Bepo, reminding him of Nigeria's rich cultural heritage. This performance, along with his memories of the Heritage Slavery Museum, triggered an emotional outburst as Bepo imagined the suffering of enslaved people. His sudden interruption left the audience in silence before he humorously recovered and praised the performance. The farewell concluded with an emotional speech from Mrs. Ibn Gloss, the school's managing director, who praised Bepo's unparalleled dedication and urged him to stay connected with Stardom. A generous gift, a $10,000 check, the highest ever given to a departing staff member, was presented to him amidst applause. Overwhelmed, Bepo expressed his gratitude but broke into tears, reflecting on his 24 years of service. This chapter is a testament to Bepo's profound impact on Stardom Schools and his unwavering dedication to education, leaving a legacy that will inspire future generations. It encapsulates the themes of gratitude, community, and cultural pride, making it an essential segment for UTME candidates to understand. Summary of Chapter 12, Dawn. Bepo meticulously prepared for his flight to the UK, determined to avoid repeating his past mistake of missing a flight due to carelessness. He double-checked his ticket details and left home well in advance to bypass Lagos' notorious traffic delays. Although motorcycles, once a quick solution for rushed travelers, were now banned, Bepo managed his journey smoothly with the help of his landlord, Mr. Ogunwale, and his family, who provided both emotional support and a ride to the airport. The chapter emphasizes Bepo's strong connection with his neighbors, particularly Jide, a young boy he had mentored. Jide's innocent humor and heartfelt farewell added a touching layer to Bepo's departure. Bepo also made sure to honor cultural traditions by packing specific Nigerian delicacies for his wife, who was eagerly awaiting his arrival abroad. At the airport, the atmosphere blended humor and poignancy. Bepo's colleagues and well-wishers shared fond memories of his significant contributions to Stardom Schools. Despite the emotional goodbyes, Bepo remained composed, smoothly navigating security checks and finally boarding his flight. As the plane ascended, Bepo was struck by a vivid dream that transported him to the Heritage Slave Museum in Badagry, reflecting his deep connection to Nigeria's history and struggles. The dream mirrored his inner conflict about leaving his homeland. On the Monday following Bepo's departure, his absence was deeply felt at Stardom Schools. Students and staff mourned the loss, particularly during morning assembly, a routine Bepo had made special with his warm presence. However, just as the community began to adjust to this new reality, an unexpected twist occurred. To everyone's astonishment, Bepo returned to the school, declaring that he could not leave because his heart and mission remained at Stardom Schools. The chapter concludes with joyous celebrations as students and staff welcomed him back, singing the school's victory song and reaffirming their unity.